Alright, here you go. I'm going to show you how to install a Windows Server 2016 operating system on a virtual machine. So I'm going to use VMware Workstation Pro as an operating system to do this installation. So let's go create the virtual machine. So I'm going to just create the virtual machine. I'll select the operating system here. You have the option to select different version of Windows operating system. The core version doesn't have the GUI, which is like the graphical user interface, is not there, so it's more into a command prompt based operating system. If you install or if you would like to have a GUI, then you have to go for the option standard. Or you can go with the data center, which is much more futuristic operating system, but like we will go with the standard operating system as for this task. So click that, and you can provide a username here or the full name here. So I'm going to just give the full name and the password for this user, right? Uh, of course, I'm going to skip the product key. Microsoft Windows operating systems, especially the server operating system, has days of like 140 days of trial version, so you can run it for 140 days and you can test out all the features. So let's go create. Yep, and I'll say Windows 2016 and it saves under virtual machine. Let's go on and complete it. Right, so it's powered on, so the virtual machine is now. Press the key to start the operating system. It used to be a CD where you have to press one of the keys from the keyboard, but of course it's a virtual machine now, just booting from USB drive, but still you have to choose it. So you have to press the key to load from the CD option, right? Yeah, it's now starting up. Um, so it might take some time to get the screen, and then we can see that it will go through the steps of like copying files, getting ready and all this. So there we are. So it's just copying the files. This will go quicker. Yep, done. It might take some time. Let's wait for that to continue the copying. So it's going to continue copying files. Yep, it's almost reached to 96%. You can see, of course, I paused the video a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds. So it was around 1 minute or 1.5 minutes. So it's not really a big time. But just I don't want to just capture everything, so I just skip those parts. Yeah, it's almost finishing installing the updates. It's done. It's going to restart. I can restart it here by clicking here. So let's go click restart. That. So it's rebooting. Yeah, now the operating system is ready almost, but it has to go through the basic user profile settings and all, so that's going to take some time. We'll have to wait at this point a bit more time. So once it come back, you can see it will say hi or loading the operating system profile, and all these messages will be displayed there. We can just wait patiently. That's all we can do. There you go. So it's doing all the setups, and there you go, the operating system is ready now. I can put that in full screen mode so you can see full screen. Of course, this is VMware tools for the smooth the mouse and keyboard experience. So it's going to install the VMware tools. Once the tool is installed, you can just seamlessly move the mouse between the virtual machine and the host operating system. So let's go restart, because it's installed the virtual machine VMware tools. It's going to just restart the operating system. Yeah, let's wait for the restart. Yep, stop all the services. Yep, it's stopping all the services. Restarting. technically this restart or loading up process doesn't take time, so it's quite fast. It's not like the old days you have to wait a long time. So you can see that's ready. You need to press Alt or Control Delete. You can use Alt or Control Delete from the application. Here on the top you have a small button here. Otherwise you can use in the keyboard Alt or Control and Insert um, to go into the screen. So click there and Alt or Control Insert. That's it. Yep, the operating system is loaded. It's all installed. We can see that's a Windows Server 2016. How do I confirm? So click on the local server. You can see now this has got the operating system. Of course, this is just the virtual machine operating system, CPU and all this information. But if you wanted to really see the operating system version and all, so you can see here Microsoft Windows Server 2016 is here. It's installed on the VMware hardware, which is like the simulation, or we are using just the hypervisor. It has got the IP address through a DHCP server. I'll explain what is DHCP later on and how we can configure DHCP. And that's the time zone, which is Sydney, Melbourne. The product is not activated, as you all know. Like, I haven't entered the key in the beginning, so it's not activated. And we never had sort of an update, so this machine is not being updated, so we can and we must need to do the update. So I'll go into those configurations later on, but the very first task is I'm going to change the name. I don't want to just leave Microsoft default naming, so I'm just going to click here and I'll change to Win 2016. Okay, it's going to ask for restart again, so we'll need to restart to reflect those changes. Yep, that's going to ask us to restart now. That's it. So the machine is ready with the new name. I will confirm the name. Of course, there are possibilities, there are options to check the names through command line, or if you wish, you can go through the folder explorer and then click on this PC, go into properties, and here we can see the information that we saw from the local server option. So there are multiple ways to find out the information, but we'll find out the best way, the easiest way that you can remember to find information. So that's pretty much what we have. Of course, this machine, if you go back here, you got only C drive. There's no more hard disk. This got only one hard disk, which is a virtual hard drive. If you want to add more hard disk, you have to go in here, settings, and see hard drive or hard disk. We have to add more hard disk. So click on disk, hard disk. Yep, and the SCSI is recommended. Create a new virtual disk. If you have already got a hard disk that you wanted to attach, then you can do that. Otherwise, you can just create a new disk. You can specify how much size you want to allocate, whether it's want all the space now, or you wanted to have like later on, like when you start using it, it can use, it's sort of a option called thin provisioning and thick provisioning, or thin and thick provisioning. So we'll come back and learn those later on. Next. Okay, so the disk is created, but you can't see here until otherwise we go configure the hard disk. So let's wait for this one to complete the SCSI disk. That's done, right? But you can't see them still. So what you have to do is you have to go to disk management, and you'll see the newly created disk is here in offline and it's not been allocated. So the first thing you need to bring this to online, right? So let's, and then initialize. Here we go, the option that we learned last week, whether you wanted to use the MBR partition or GPT partition, right? So there's a big difference between MGR and GPT, MBR and GPT. So MBR can support up to 2 terabytes with 4 primary partitions. You can go up to a little bit 16 partition tables, primary partition now, but by default it's 4. But if you want to go with GPT, that can provide around 128 primary partition, and it can support up to 18 billion terabytes of storage. So much preferred option these days. Of course, we are almost using storage, massive storages, and there are a lot of information for us to store. And there's another benefit on GPT, which is much more redundant, in the sense like, if in case, if by mistake if you delete some files, there's always an option to restore the deleted files, because it's maintained a backup copy of master boot recorder. Of course, GPT has got a master boot recorder, which is MBR, is kept it, but that is called partition table and partition allocation table system. But it will have a copy in the beginning and at the end of those disks, so it's always easy to recover. So let's do that. So now the disk is initialized and online, but hasn't been assigned or allocated. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new volume. And let's create a new volume, and we can provide a name. D is already taken for our CD-ROM, so we can't use that, so I'm going to use maybe a different name, X. Next, and I'll say the name, this is for data. Alright, done. Now we should be able to see disk X and name data. The same thing we can see here, right? So the hard disk is attached. So now this computer has got 2 hard drives. One is stored, both hard disks are stored in this location. So if you go to this location, just copy this file, and if you go into this location, right, we can see this is where the Windows 2016 operating system, and we will see 2 hard disks, right? So here we have the cache, Windows operating system, and boot files, right? Here we have sort of a hard disk, so it's been split into multiple disk drives. So there's 0, 1 first disk, and you will see the second disk as well. 0, 0, 0, 5, 10, 15. So that's for the primary hard disk. Of course, we can check this one if you shut down this. Right, this is 2016 disk, and here we go. Anything starts with 2016 0 is the other hard drive. So I think I closed the drive. Oh no, I'm going to copy this path one more time. Window R, sorry, cancel. Window R, copy paste. Oops. Oh yeah, sorry, that's on the local hard drive. What's wrong? Is it? Right, so here you go, 0 and 1, right? So virtual disk, right? You can see the name shows that virtual disk file. So that's a file, and that file will hold the virtual machine. So that 0 is for the second hard disk, right? Here we go, the first one, and here we go, the second one, right? So that's pretty much the operating system files and the hard disk drive. That's all for the moment. We'll come back with another video. I'll explain you how to install, setup, and different services and stuff like that, right? So we'll move on to that later on.